Punch it.
God damn it, you got in. You got in as I did
Nailed it.
Yes. So, as you're leaving that room, and you get, like... This is... The way that you can tell that this is, like, an engineering area other than... instead of anything else, is that when you leave that room, you actually are leaving via an airlock. Pretty much everything here has, like, a proper setup, like, the 2 proper doors. Like, it's not an airlock that you're using, but... this whole place could lock down in case of a atmosphere breach so easily. And probably entirely automatedly. As you're doing it, like sort of Mickey is the first one to leave, and he does sort of turn when you're like left and when you're out in the sort of engineering bay area. Goes, look, I'll be honest. We're not loyal to this job, but we're gonna try it. But the second something starts going wrong, we bolt it. I mean, I've dealt with alien artifacts before. I usually glow like shit, look like a flower. I don't really do much. And I've dealt with Lunans before, and I'll tell you, it takes a lot of lead to keep their ships down. So, I mean, it'll be fine. But if it ain't gonna be fine, we ain't gonna stay. Does that sound fair? Because, you mean, you make legitimate complaints that I would have made when I was young and full of vigor, like you were.
We're not gonna have any luck if it comes to outrunning Lunans.
Oh, not in a hell's nipple, we ain't.
Then
We're
maybe
probably
we
not
could,
gonna.
pick up a few more bullets for the guns. We only got about a third max what we can have in there for moments.
I mean, I don't really want to fill our cargo bay with ammo just in case. I mean, you have more. This will be all the ammo you ever use in the campaign, probably.
It's just because it says 20 out of 60 on the minigun.
Yes, and you use 1 every shot.
Yeah,
you have 2.
But still, it's like it's okay if it's 1 for short.
I mean, if you want to pick some more up, like that's fine.
Well, no, it was just I would say that in character anyway because it's just like it's still only a third of the max capacity for the thing. So, and if we're not going to be
no. You
We
have
20
20
60.
60 spare. You
Oh,
have 20
sorry,
loaded in each.
Sorry, I completely misread that then.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought it was
Yeah,
20 out of 60.
yeah.
No, you have like so much more space you could fill with ammo.
Okay, my bad.
But it
Completely
wouldn't
ignore
much
that then.
No, it's fine. Like the way it worked, you gotta get used to the way the cargo systems work, and also the way that like to do the ammo is not perfect, especially for big numbers because it's designed for smaller numbers. But there's shitty weapons, shitty low-tech weapons. So.
Sure, yeah.
All right. He starts walking back to the ship. Probably when you do, it's clear that you're going to be here for probably around 4 days. At least. Sorry, I started drinking a Fanta. Not sponsored.
Yeah, wow, product placement right there. Sorry, I just can't get over the
I just can't get over the fresh, realistic orange flavor of Fanta Zero Sugar. It's not even got a fancy name.
That sounds horrible! If it's
Excuse
zero sugar, it's most likely got a.
Did you hear that?
Aspartame
Like Scott right then was sitting at 0 on his sugar scale, and then you said 0, and it just.
He was like not even there, and then it was like, I'll be honest though. I'll be honest. I prefer the diet version of every drink.
And that
Flavor
is why
wise,
you're
I don't
wrong.
give a fuck about the sugar.
Do you like the flavor of cancer?
Look, I am fully aware that diet drinks are going to give me cancer.
You,
and-
Scott?
I mean, only if I can like cut into it like a meaty steak.
I thought. I mean, it made me think of crabs, which I guess is appropriate. It's clear that the ship you're going to be here for a couple of days, and maybe even if you had something you needed to do for longer, you could probably ask, but 4 days or so at the very least.
4 days is a long while to be spending here, but we need to get that thing all
But
situated.
it is also a fully set up city, so you can do things if you want to do things.
So I will actually go immediately. Like if we're disbanding from here, I'll actually go immediately to Tomas.
Mm-hmm.
And So kind of like go and like watch what you're like overlooking, whatever, for a couple seconds, and then I'll come over and actually interrupt you, like stand back for a bit, and then come over and interrupt you and be like, Tomas, there's a bit of information that you should probably be aware of.
He looks at you just like with a puzzled look, like, go on.
We met with a woman by the name of Lucia Gulen. She has hired the captain, and so all of us do a job that the captain chose to accept. There is a free merchant that disappeared, not much, I imagine, different than the size of our ship, that's gone missing. Wouldn't be too much of a big deal. It's a ship that works for the Merchants Guild over around Pike. The issue is that this free merchant, it disappeared somewhere around Halberd. And you know about Halberd, don't you?
He nods.
So if that wasn't bad enough, the ship itself was transporting an alien artifact.
Of what significance?
Of course, that is, nobody knows.
Seems sketchy.
At the very least, it does. But honestly, something that raises quite a few concerns and makes us want to check the calibration of our weapons again before we start heading that way, and make sure that we have all of our burners firing well so we can evade or evacuate if need be. We have lifeboats, right? I say, looking at the ship.
You don't.
So that it was said as a
You
joke.
have an emergency protocol.
We do have an emergency protocol.
You say
That's
that,
good.
and Turtle goes, kinda?
Yeah, I was like,
We have an
sure.
emergency protocol. It's panic.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that.
So I let that sink in for a second, and then I say, oh, there's one more thing. The ship that was working for the Merchants Guild and transporting the alien artifact over by Halberd, it was doing so on behalf of some Lunans.
And we don't know anything further, of course. Just, it was on behalf. We don't know what it is. We don't know why it is. We just know that it is.
It's a ship that disappeared with not much more details than that, surrounded by 4 very dangerous situations.
Well, he took the job, you said. Guess we could only prepare now.
Just making sure you're aware of what's going on. It's your baby more than it is anybody else's.
Don't worry. Nothing will happen to the ship that I can't fix.
Well, I suppose I should go check on our doctor and make sure that he feels the same way.
Flash forward 6 days. I can't fix it.
Yeah, literally.
It's like a Firefly moment, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So, with that being said, I'll. Well, Will, you got my message over in Twitch earlier, right? About the actual cost of installing this?
Yes, and I replied, but you didn't get that, did you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I probably didn't notice.
No worries.
Cool. As long as you know how much, because it's a multiplying factor with. But go ahead. So I with that. Other than that, I'm good. I'm not gonna rest this in.
Cool. So, you're working on getting the workshop done. Is there anything else anyone wants to do during this downtime? I mean, it's not downtime for Tom.
No, yeah, I'm just working on workshop.
I imagine, Rain, you do check that the weapons work and the munitions work and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'd give it all a check. Once I'm satisfied it is, I'd stow away the combat rifle, bring out the pistol, and take the guitar into town. See if I can maybe find an open mic, or maybe even a bar that will pay me a few credits for a night of entertainment or something.
I'll say that's entirely possible. Cool. And Anna might even go with you, like, 1 or 2 of the nights, but not all of them. She also, Anna, goes over when, like, the ship's manifest is sent to Jason. It is noticeably not spotty, but they are saying things that you say when you are concealing things. Like, and you maybe only really notice it so much because you're fully aware of it, or maybe because you don't always look at ship manifest all day, Jason. But
I do.
He probably would have noticed it before otherwise. But it's things like just the way they describe the cargo, like the way they don't have a dark place where they're saying they're going. It does say who gave them the job in the manifest, the cargo job they are doing, because that's a whole thing in the Merchants Guild. It was on behalf of someone called Archiv Taurus.
I'm gonna have to-
I
yes,
will type
I
it.
need spelling. Yeah.
It's
It's
weird.
a weird one.
You know why it's a weird name? It's a Lunan name.
It's an Ollie name.
No, I just have people in my settings have names that make sense based on where they're fucking from.
I don't believe you.
Shut down.
I don't believe him. It's lies. Propaganda.
I mean, it's one of the things where sometimes on these sort of things, because this is ship manifest, but also like guild paperwork. You know, sometimes there would be essentially like a multi-pass sort of thing which gives all the details. It's basically just the name. It doesn't even say he's a Lunan, but now you know he's a Lunan, and it could be a cover name as well. It's entirely possible. But then immediately I will say, actually, both of you realize, two of you realize that it's probably not a cover name because it's so strange. You wouldn't use one that's this. You would use one more generic.
Well, Lunan, all right.
I'd also say on the ship details, it says that it only has one minigun instead of your two. So it was less defended. It got the sort of distress transponder, which was the word I was looking for earlier, was more or less like a day and a half after it left Ballista. And it was only on Ballista for a few hours. Halberd. It was only on Halberd for a few hours before it left. And then it was, traveling from Pike itself, not Shield, from before that. And it didn't travel incredibly fast. It traveled, casual speeds. The crew itself, when you look up them, it's like sort of a web page where you tap it goes to more information about them. They're all from Pike or Shield. They all appear to be not necessarily members of the Merchant Guild, but just people who do jobs. It's a Merchant Guild ship, but they aren't guild members or anything like that.
Okay.
I mean, if there's anything you want to look up specifically about them, do ask.
I mean, I have administrative as a trained skill.
Yeah,
gladly
exactly.
rolled
Any role
the-
any role you want to do to look further, you could use that about. I just don't know what kind of things you would look for above.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, because you already kind of said that we would discover the fact that it was clear that they were hiding. I just don't know if there's any way that you could find it coded in there what they're hiding, but that just seems like a really far stretch.
You can try.
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
But that wouldn't necessarily. Yeah, exactly. That's the sort of thing that would that even be sent on this sort of paperwork?
No.
Even encoded? No, it
Wow.
would be more.
So it's like a
basically,
far stretch.
what I do is I Google the names.
Yeah.
I want to see whether there's anything interesting about them. Whether I can find out that they've been with the Merchants Guild for whether there's a registered Merchants Guild employees, whether they've been there for they've been long time employees like Tom has, or whether they were brought on specifically for this job. Whether there's something
Absolutely.
noted.
What's your administrative check there,
+0.
Can he assist me for a +1?
Yes. So you can help him for a +1 on his roll.
Okay, so because I already have a +1, so I will take
Oh
it.
well, yeah. Mine. Well, are you
He's
counting,
good at this.
Are you
It's
counting
like-
a modifier or?
No,
Oh
in
yeah,
general.
I have a +1 intelligence. So I
I've
already.
got a +2 intelligence, so I'd have a +2.
Oh hey, I'll
Yeah.
come over to you. Hey, no, I'm assisting you.
I did, yeah. So I would be a +2, yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Administrator, add an extra +1 because he's assisting you.
My skills and your brains.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I don't roll terribly.
I mean,
You
it's-
probably will. It's okay.
I probably did.
Oh, that's no. So 6. Six is like the lowest thing you should roll for, and then anything above a 6 is pretty good. So with a 7, the first things that you notice when you look up all these names. I'm not going to give you all their names, but you will recognize them again if you see them again, of course. The captain of this vessel is actually a Merchant Guild member, but sort of similar to Lucia. Kind of a disgraced member, not officially a member anymore. Not disgraced, but they were a member, now they're not. And you can assume there's either something similar going on about it. The others on the ship, very similar to yours. There's one person who's been on the ship for as long as this ship has been a merchant ship, and which is as long as the ship has existed. It's only ever done this, and there were like 3. So there'd be a crew of 5 people, and 3 of them are pretty much like teenagers fresh from the planet. That one person who's been on there longer was very similar to Ryaz, like an engineer from S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go with that. We take the information, or if it's pertinent later on, and otherwise we just bleed through 6 days.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else we might be able to find out that would be particularly useful.
Well, it's like you have this information now on your like computers. So
what we could do is have a brief look at existing / found alien artifacts, so that if we find this one, if we can see it, we can identify it, or if we can scan it, we can pick up a particular whatever radiation, electromagnetic.
Do you want to do essentially another Google on like?
Yeah, I think
artifacts?
so. Just because if we can like identify it and we're like, oh yeah, no, this is a fertility symbol.
I would say that is another administrator intelligence to try and figure out, like, to basically work out more of like what's been going on with alien artifacts and stuff like that.
Do you want to give me a hand with my Digimon in Davis?
Yep.
You see that? Because Davis is the name of the season 2
Oh yeah, it
main
is.
character in Digimon.
So with a 10, that's really good. So there's actually, as you're looking through it, you in your infinite wisdom, you don't check like Wikipedia or anything. You check like crazy internet forums, and you actually go to like to conspiracy theories and things, but you try and work out the truth of them. And you figure there's at least 2 intelligent alien races sort of in this area of space, but that are confirmed. But one is dead, and there's like more evidence of dead alien existence on several planets. So there's of course the Wraiths. The thing about the Wraiths, which you know, Jason, or at least you'd heard of, and the main conspiracy theory is that they are highly linked to the emergence of psionic individuals in the last 20 years or so. Because they themselves are psionic. When you fight a Wraith, when you see a Wraith, you see a spectral, ghost-like image, and they fight with psionics. So if there was an artifact, they would be giving off psionic energy in some way, metaphysical energy, which your bioscanner does not read, but in a situation, you could try and jury-rig it or get someone else to jury-rig it to read it. That would be entirely possible to do, but it'd be quite hard to do without a sample of something psionic going on. Secondary to the Wraiths, not much is known about Wraith culture, so when anything Wraith comes up, it's very interesting. The thing with alien artifacts is that it's sort of like something like geodes or something. It's kind of like there's a lot of scams, and a lot of people just sort of like it to like, it's interesting, but like there's not a lot more to it. So of course there's a lot of fake alien artifacts around, and the chances are it's probably you're picking up something fake. But where there is truth, it's a lot of research going on, and where things are being sold, it's often, like they said, fertility symbols or just like random cack, but it looks interesting because it's alien. Of the other alien race assumed to exist, it isn't really named, but up in a region to the north of this sort of place of space, there is a documented to be rumors of alien ruins to a civilization that could control sort of fire and magma and heat with their technology to a huge degree, like could create volcanoes and things like that, and have like laser-based technology and things. Of other things, because you rolled pretty well, there are a couple other planets that have alien activity on it. I'm just trying to remember looking up the map. I believe it's Helena is a planet that studies alien activity.
Helena
Helena does.
How about him, Carter?
There's several planets that basically they are a settled planet because something alien is going on them.
God, obviously.
But I'm trying to remember them off the top of my head. Oh, the planet Chin to the south is assumed to have the reason why that planet is so notable is it has an extremely intense atmosphere with like storms going on it all the time. Now the interesting thing about that is that the storms are brilliant for generating energy, and they also are very good for getting the supercharged particles that are required to get punch drives to work. So it's a mining planet. But there's rumors that the reason why those storms exist is because of alien interference, or alien ruins or something. Let me look at the others real quick.
So in summary so far,
aliens do exist.
Yeah, the most likely
alien
candidates
stuff doesn't exist.
Wraith.
Yes. If it is going to be in this area, it's probably a Wraith-based artifact, because the Wraith control space on the map is the Wraith, like, border, but it's assumed that they kind of settled everywhere.
Yeah, well, I believe there's a base on Mantis, isn't there? A Nova space.
Mm-hmm. That is, like, the base on the border.
That's where Jason has been previously, for sure.
Yeah, so that's why that stuff you would kind of know.
Okay.
Alright. Yeah, alien stuff exists. It's either Wraith or not real, probably, is the assumption.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, the rest of the shore leave, you're just going... we can probably just fast forward. There's not much going on. Rain, you don't make any money or anything like that, but you do... You essentially make enough money to buy drinks and maybe even, like, a room or something going on in general. Anna spends a couple of nights out. Mickey does leave to see some more old friends and things, but he usually doesn't care about how good the ship is. Like, he doesn't usually care about the engineering or the guns or things. He definitely does seem to care a little more at the moment, and they help Tom with some things, but Tom is mostly getting the workshop up and running. At the end of this leave, when the workshop is up and running, it is a fully functioning workshop down in what... It sort of like comes off the cargo bay, a little bit into what would be empty space and hull space. It's sort of near the front of the ship in the cargo bay, and it is a fully self-sufficient room where it has 3D printers, it has it has all the things you're going to need to be able to craft things on the fly without a full factory. A lot of quite good tech, honestly, to make anything you need. And also to store a lot of the abstract tools and things that you have.
Were walls put up to make them separate? To make
yes,
it, like,
it is a separate. It is a separate room.
Okay, cool. So it's all like.
I imagine it has a window, but it is a separate room.
Cool.
Yeah, a window into the cargo. Just because, why not?
Why not?
Obviously, would. I agree. I don't know why,
exactly.
but
it's
I
not
do
necessarily
agree.
a good idea from like a design perspective, but it is what you would probably do if it was a lived-in ship. So, and it's not a military ship. You're living
Like
there.
Tamaz is like, I'm gonna go have a break, and he comes back, and they're like, yeah, we slapped a big old piece of perspex in there. Ding.
If this entire place is to Tomaz's exact specifications, so he better be happy with it. And honestly, you are happy with it because it turned out really well because you spent that extra money, you got those extra hands.
And I was there working too to be like, no, that needs to be 3 steps from here, not 4 steps.
Exactly. And actually, I was gonna say, as rooms go, it's a fairly big room in this ship. I mean, a lot of the spaces are big open rooms, but like the kitchen, right. the bathroom, the cargo rooms, the crew rooms are very small. This is like a good deal bigger than your crew room. You have room to walk around and do things, to like listen to some jams or things like that.
Well, you like jam.
Do you not like jam?
I said, and do you like jam?
Oh yeah, everyone loves jam though.
Yeah.
So many different flavors of jam. How can
exactly.
You not love
that's kind of the reason why I can't be like no, because there's a lot of jam out there, and I haven't
Growing
tried
up,
it
I never liked jam.
I'm actually the same. I prefer it more when I'm older. Anyway, we will.
Will we?
No, never mind. Sometimes my brain. Sometimes when I'm in DM mode while I'm streaming, like a pre-gen sentence starts coming out and I can't stop it. Like Scott the other day.
Yeah, that was so bad. And while you guys were what just happened?
Yeah.
I was literally saying, all right, Scott, what are you doing this week? And I was like, so while you guys were walking down the, what am I talking about? It was so bad.
It was very like muscle memory. I have that, but with other things that aren't as bad. With that time done, you can prepare the ship to leave, and I imagine you do. You probably want to get this job done as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And get out of here and see what's going on and deal with it. So,
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. There's nothing else I want to buy because, like, I have money, but there's nothing that we need.
Yeah.
So,
Save. The ship. You go through the whole undocking process. Again, nothing entirely worthwhile happening. Probably before you leave, you have a beer with all the engineers who helped you out, and you know, they're cool, chill dudes. But you go through the whole undocking process. You leave the dry dock. You launch off. And you start flying. You know, once you won't take incredibly long to go from Shield to Halberd. It'll take around about 2 days, and if you did want, you could try and push the speed faster. But because you basically her when she started setting off, she's like, well, I could send everything faster, but we probably don't want to push the ship too hard if there's any chance of any funny business when we get there. And you're like, that's a good idea. We're not being chased right now. No real reason to
push
go
it
faster.
later.
Yeah, exactly. Push it later and have the ship sort of like fall apart then. Because when you go really fast in this ship, not punching, it rattles like a lot. And you start heading off.
okay. Just updated the ship on my character sheet.
Cool. Also, Will, you can edit the sort of the ship page on its own thing, but yeah, I did that and then realized like you have a really good ship page on your character sheet. So if you will just keep them vaguely updated, it'll be fine. But you don't have to do crazy about it, because as long as one of you has it mostly updated, you can ask and go things back and forth. So
pointing in the direction of Halberd.
Yes, I was going to say, when you're getting closer to Halberd, what is your plan? You don't know. You know they went missing around 1.5 days from Halberd, and Halberd, like a lot of similar to Corvu, is in sort of a asteroidy area, like an asteroid belt. Not as dramatic so much as, well, then again, asteroid belts aren't as dramatic as they always seem to be on like TV and on maps and things. But it is being a small planet on the edge of a solar system in an asteroid belt, which is not a surprise.
Well, I would ask the captain what the plan is, but like, we don't know the exact coordinates of where their ship is, and we don't have a means to easily track the ship. So, do you want to pop it in the outskirts of the system, and the outskirts of that area, because we're all in the same system, the outskirts of that area, and try to move around quietly, or are we looking for a quick in and quick out, or are we going to try to take our time?
Well, the issue I see is that we don't know where it is. Now, there's 2 things we could do about that. We could ping it. We could try and ping it. And he kind of looks at Jason's like, I don't know if our scanners are up to the snuff of that, but we can try. Or we can go to Halberd. We can dock at Halberd and try and find who he did a deal with. Now, I've been to Halberd before. Tom, as you might remember, I think you were around for that. And Anna's like, I was definitely around for at least one. There's a reason why I have the big gun now. He nods like, yeah. The thing is with Halberd is it's controlled by crime families, as any good pirate dystopia hive of scum and villainy is. So they know what's happening better than the Merchant Guild did. A ship coming in that's a merchant ship, proudly flagged. Our ship isn't even proudly flagged. I am pike blood through and through. That's gonna drum up some attention. They were probably watched. We can go there, try and... one of you can try and ask around and maybe ask some questions to the right sort of people. It does mean going to quite an unsavory place, but, you know... I'm not gonna say you have to do it, but that's probably a better course of action. But we should probably try and scan when we get to Halberd, just in case.
We might have a better chance scanning if... Well, the theory that I and Davis have is that it could be Wraith tech, in which case it will give off a distinct psionic signature. If we were able to have a sample of psionic things, an item perhaps, then we might be able to configure the scanners to pick up on that wavelength.
The only downside to this, of course, being if we're sending out pings with this specific kind of frequency or to read this specific kind of frequency, who's to say that they don't have technology to pick up the fact that we're doing this?
Exactly.
We're kind of playing our hand a bit too early.
That's sort of the thing. If you can scan... People see when you scan, and we'll be scanning a bunch of asteroids. I mean, miners do that all the time. Pirates do that all the time. It might be good to do. It might be a good idea to maybe see if we can pick up some kind of psionic artifact on Halberd.
We don't necessarily need to pick it up, at least something that we can get a good reading off of with a hand scanner.
I'll be honest.
Looking towards the doctor.
There's only a couple of places where psionics really can be found. Either in hospitals, ragtag ships like this one, like taps some metal, or pirates. You know, some young chap who's just recently woke up in Brim and can shoot magic from their fingers. Pirate's gonna say, hey, you're meant for bigger things. You're gonna take over the world one day, and they're gonna join up, sing songs. So,
I don't think Jason was requesting us nab up a pirate and.
No. I just mean, the chances are you'll find something if you go looking for it good enough. When we get there, boots on the ground.
Very well then. I say, looking to the others, I say perhaps the four of us can go and ask some questions, and you and Anna can stay here. Keep the ship nice and warm in case we get a hightail out.
Anna's like, more than keep the ship warm, keep the ship from getting burgled. But yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
I look to the rest of them to make sure that everybody's on board.
I'm gonna need to make some adjustments to the bioscanner.
I think I'm going to have to, I turn and leave to go to my room.
Oh my god, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, around at this point, the ship doesn't have windows. It does have faux windows that display screens of cameras outside. From certain sides of the ship, you can actually see Halberd as you're coming up towards it. But of course, traveling to a planet and then landing on a planet is obviously a slower process.
I'll just wait for everyone to be ready to.
Yeah, what are you sorting out?
Me personally, I usually wear like a very uniform like outfit. I'm actually dressing down for this scenario.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's one of those like, oh wow, you're busting up the flannel and jeans. Okay, you never dress that way.
Jason, do you want to try and reconfigure the bioscanner now? Bear in mind you don't know what you're trying to configure it to.
Well,
the issue.
I'm gonna hopefully get it to the point where it's open for a quick input.
Oh, that's entirely possible. No, I would say it's not entirely possible because it's not designed to have more stuff added to it. I was gonna make it. You would have to have done a engineering check to tweak
I was
with the thing in
gonna
general.
fiddle with the programming.
So actually, yeah. Oh. So your idea is more programming it to see if it can pick up something it can already scan, and more or less
and fiddle with some of the parameters, and maybe write in a few extra lines so that it has the capability to switch between these modes.
I will allow you to try a program check.
Intelligence.
Yeah, for this one. So again, the issue is you don't really know what you're trying to do. You do go in and you clear out about like a bunch of junk code. Like you know what you want in this thing better, and it might be even one of those things where you're going in with this intent and you change a bunch of other things instead. It's not like you do nothing when you're going down when the ship is starting to go into orbit. but you can't really do this whole quick process into, because what you're trying to essentially do is like use the stuff that's already on there to do something beyond it that you don't even know about yet. So it would be
I just need to get it prepped so that when I input whatever I wanted to scan, it would be a quick beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop boop.
No,
instead of a.
This is you need to be able to recognize what you're putting into it and probably rebuild the thing to be able to look at it as well. Probably.
Rebuild it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It is a scanning device, but it's a bioscanner for biological things.
I mean, I'm not gonna rebuild it.
Yeah.
I need it as a bioscanner rather
exactly.
than a
That's sort of the. If any of you had a different sort of thing, but
he's extremely distressed. My psych scanner is telling me. However, I can't detect the internal bleeding.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where you would be rebuilding it, it would still work as a bioscanner, it would have what you mean, whereas 2 modes. But this isn't a simple fix, because you're trying to do it for something that you don't know how to do. You do actually know that these sort of things do exist, though, which is why I was letting you to try, but...
How much is a psych scanner or a bioscanner if either of them are available before we leave this fully functioning city?
A psych scanner doesn't exist, you've never heard of one. Jason has. But bioscanners are buyable. Whether they're buyable very easily here. Yeah, it's one of those things where you discuss, it's like, I've seen it be done before, but it wouldn't be buyable here.
See that after Jason, like, he spends a while typing, and then he, like, throws his hands up in frustration and just puts his finger down on the delete key for a while.
You know, there is a Control A.
A bioscanner is 300 credits. A psych scanner would be significantly more. So what you would probably prefer to, even if you found it, like, you would have to go and like try a whole lot far harder. Whereas like if you ask like Anna's, like, you can buy things there.
Best way to do
it's a fully functioning like city down there, like planet down there. It's just crazy.
Probably the best way to do it would be to get the bits we need 3D printed. Or fabricated in the workshop.
Would be able to try and make something for sure. I would allow it, like the way engineers work, is they have essentially amount of points they could spend on things they're making or they've made. I would even say with like the stuff you guys have, you can probably try and put one together. But he needs something to do it based off first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's specifically rules for that. He has to use up his modification points too. Mm-hmm. Crafty item that just works. Excuse me. Yawning. Talking through yawn. So fun. So I will say to what's his face? Hold on. It still says Neil on the book there.
Yeah, I told him to change it, and he was like,
Jason. That's his name. So I'll actually say to Jason and be like, do you think this is something that you and Tomas would be able to accomplish together?
Maybe. I think we'd probably need something to base it off. That's the problem. I can write in a program to detect nothing. I'm not really sure what we're looking for.
Well, you know, I've been saving my credits between the jobs. I have the finances to buy you another bioscanner. The thing is, if this is just going to be a waste of money, then why would I spend the credits on something for a task that we're most likely not going to be able to survive through anyways?
We might need the money to deal with a crime family anyway.
Is that kind of what I was thinking?
I think it's probably best to hold off for now. It was a nice idea, but...
Can we have our communications officer to communicate with a bunch of pirates that we're about to land on? To the bridge, please.
Wish me luck.
You don't need it.
You little slur.
And I'll also head to the bridge as well to...
Yeah. I mean, everyone hears that.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. It's at this point when if you look through the windows and also if you look at Anna's screen, you can see looking down at a big planet that's based around this almost... Not a dome, was like sort of like a a flat-topped cone, like spaceport, that maybe was a prefab thing that was kind of dropped in. There's clearly been a change and adjusted, and you see these spires of city below. Because this planet actually has an okay atmosphere. But is livable, but is, you'll figure out more when you go down there. But there's this big sort of sprawling, not huge, not big compared to cities you've seen on Pike, or actually very comparable to the sort of city you landed on in S.H.I.E.L.D., but S.H.I.E.L.D. was like foundations and like prefab labs and things. This is towers and things. You see it down there, and the sort of the computer has picked up as like there's a spaceport on Jason's side, and it says on it that there's the city of Arapo. But there's not so many cities on this unless you're going to do a lot of stuff on Halberd. I wouldn't so much worry about the city names. But Anna is looking at Jason expectantly.
I'm going to send out a hail.
You get one back not as quickly as you... Like, it should be an automated process. You get one back, like, not as quickly as you should. There's maybe, like, a minute of waiting.
I'll look over and say, pirates. Before, while we're waiting.
Hiya. This is the comms officer on the Magpie. We're looking to settle down, refuel, and...
Magpie, isn't that some kind of bird?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, these guys are good.
We're looking to sit down, refuel, and have a couple drinks.
Alright. You can, like... usually the mic is, like, set up properly, but you can hear, like, the... Like he's clearly typing away and doing some things. Like it's like trying to game with that one person who hasn't got their stupid setup set up, like me.
Yeah.
And he's they're clearly scanning your ship. It even goes up on your screen. Yeah, even goes up on your screen like we are being scanned. And then, but like, of course, you don't really worry about it too much. Although, give me a programming check. It could be intelligence or wisdom, but you're going to use intelligence. You immediately notice that their scan is more focused on your cargo hold than anything else, which is not surprising. But you have nothing in there but ammo, which is valuable, but not that valuable.
Valuable, but then you're like...
I imagine anyone who comes
that ammo.
Exactly. Every ship that comes here that's requesting to dock has guns, and nearly every ship has at least some kind of weapon. And then it's like, yeah, no, that seems fine. You should, we'll clear a space for you. You can have space number 13. Unlucky for some, that'll probably be fine for you. Big guns on that bad boy. Little ship, big guns. There's a story behind that.
Yeah.
Usually by now they would have hung up.
Maybe I'll tell you over a drink.
All right, I'm gonna come down and see you when you get in there. Try
All right,
not to
buddy.
land on any funnel rats while you're down here. Gonna cause one hell of a mess. Hey, is this ship that's going to...
Like he says that, and Jason like turns around and mouths.
You will see. And with that, like the handshake goes through, is like, okay, we're docking here, and Anna starts pulling you in. Now this is very interesting.
Is his mic still hot?
No.
Is it like being on break with Will where you hear him?
It was for a bit. I kind of did that whole, but you will say like, see actually. The mic's not hot, but like the sort of handshaking and the scanning is still open, where usually it'd just be like quick and stun, and okay, we can help you dock or whatever, or do clamps or things. Now it's like everything is still open, like a much more than they need to be. When you're actually going into this spaceport, you essentially have to go through not so much a tunnel, but it's a tunnel of floating. Rings, billboards, between the buildings. There's billboards of, different gangs. There's like recruitment posters of like animated neon signs and things. There's adverts for the nearest like engineering, for the places to buy your stimulants, for all those sorts of things, and these big gaudy like cyberpunk advertisements as you get in. As you do get in, it is snowing and there is a whole bunch of like mist and things, and Thomas, you would even notice like it's a little too cold for the ship. Not to the extent it causes any trouble, but to the extent that like the ship is doing countermeasures automatically to deal with the cold. Atmospheric cold, of course, not space cold. There's a difference. And goes into the spaceport. Unlike the ones before, where it was you get clamped and you go in, this is basically a big sort of, you are in the floor of a building that you fly into and you drop. And that's what you do. There's not even any kind of holding clamps or anything. They're just sort of like a... and the gravity is good enough that the ship's mostly fine, and Tom knows that like his first job immediately is going to like go down and do some like extra stuff to the landing gear to make sure it does stay, because the landing gear is designed to do this, but still, it's not great. And I said the atmosphere is good enough. The atmosphere is... There is atmosphere here, but it's like pretty low. If you aren't using it's low, but because of the previous atmosphere, there's not so much gravity plating. So the first thing you notice of the people who go to step out is that usually on shield you walk normally. Of course, you walked even a bit better because there was some gravity. On Corva you walk normally. On Jorianth you walk normally because when you were there. Here you spacewalk. Not crazy so, but like if you wanted to jump, you could jump pretty dang high. And it seems like the whole, at least the inside of this spaceport is designed for that in mind, where like things are, you know, people, you are looking on the other side there where someone literally like jumps up onto the top of like a sort of room or building to go and see some other people. There's a lot of ladders, because it's easier to climb a ladder in this sort of environment. When you step out, you are, of course, you are actually greeted by a couple of people. One big guy with a sort of black beard and wearing clothes. Nothing of interesting note. It doesn't really. He is wearing clothes. It doesn't really fit any profession. But the two guys behind him, they're thugs. They're definitely thugs. They have sort of like pistols, but unlike the pistols that a lot of you have that are fairly high tech, they're like clunky and big and loud. Instead of like a silencer, they have a louder, essentially. And they look like a typical spacer gang sort of people. They have crazy hair in sometimes neon colors. They have a lot of tattoos. They are even wearing like kind of stereotypical like leather and spikes and like chains and some things. This planet is of pirates. Yeah. And the welcoming party is, you know, I would have switched my pistol from like tucked away to a hip holster. Yeah.
And I've definitely got the rifle out on my back.
The four of you, because of where the way this is, it is, it's easier to get out the cargo bay, or do you get out the other side exit and climb down the ladder?
Cargo bay.
Okay. So because they can immediately see in and there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
You do that, and the guy's like, "Welcome to Halberd. I mean, I saw that ship. You ain't been Halberd. You weren't coming from it. You've not been here. This look on your faces." And it's like when you like walk in, like, whoa. It's like, "You ain't been here before. I can tell you that. Oh, which one of you is your talkie man?"
I look at Neil's character.
That is Jason
like,
back
look at
there.
him.
Yeah, hi.
Now look at you. You look just about as smart as your voice made me believe. Doesn't he look smart? I was like, yeah, that bastard looks smart. It's like, yeah, he's a fucking,
Spoke on the comms, yeah. Recognize the voice.
Now what I done is go and treat you, bunch of fucking inner system bastards, to a bunch of beers.
Now that sounds right down my street.
He like goes over and like clasps Jason on the back pretty strongly because he's nondescript but big. And like
Jason like holds his hand out to shake his hand.
Yeah,
and then he like slaps him on the back and he's like, right, okay.
All right, and Yeah, okay, I'll pay. I'll be nice. You're new here, and starts leading you like out of the spaceport into an elevator, and eventually to a bar. And that's
There
where
was somebody else with him, or was there multiple?
There
people
were
with
2 people with him who are
Do
traveling.
they also come along?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They're his thugs.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of if they stayed behind.
Jason like turns around and he's like, Mal's hell.
And we will discuss this further after a short break for the end of the show arena. In an hour. It's not ending now. Break. Last bit. You know how it goes. We'll be back in a sec.
Grumble.